Hello one and hello all, and greetings to all of you around the face of the world. Here is your host Maponga J on your channel, Farmers of Thought, afternoon drive, where we're discussing African politics, African science, African medicine, African fashion, art, food, and everything else between. The whole idea is to be allowing the African people to be talking about their African problems and finding their own African solutions. Oh, you know, English never loved us. Yeah, English never loved us. The last few days have been very, very eventful, and we have seen the presentation by Julius Malema in South Africa. Beautiful, outfit right there, well organized, powerful transition from the ANC government into the economic liberation movement that is starting out there. Anyone who is a fool would undermine what Malema is doing in South Africa, because that speaks to an authentic desire of the people to transform, change, and rewrite their own narrative. But beautiful. I love the sentiments shared there. One comment. There's something very important I want to say today, so please don't go away. Don't go away. Let me just do my African rattle story, then I will zoom into what I want to say today about France and the Francophone countries. So, beautiful presentation. I saw the song also that he sang, kill the Boer, kill the farmer, kind of thing, and you cannot honestly be sacrificing Malema for that song. He never wrote the song. The song has been used for a couple of decades before Malema even came into power. A protest against the colonial system and regime, a campaign for land, and honestly speaking, it's not worth us arguing about. When you look at the number of white farmers that are dying vis-a-vis the number of black people that are dying, I don't feel sorry for anything. Not that I justify any crime and murder of that case, but the apartheid system and its colonial system, how it killed people and how people continuously die under the system. South Africa is accounting for almost like 25,000 people per every 100,000 people are murdered. That is statistics that is on your handset there. You can Google. And per every 100,000, almost like 25,000 people are getting murdered. And you compare that with the 52 million people, and of those people, of the 25,000 dying every year, or every month, 16,000 of those are black men. 16,000 of those are black men, not women, black men. But, and of those 25,000 people dying, 16,000 are black men. I think it's less than 50 white people that are caught up in this white farmer's story. So I don't think, if we look at human value and sanctity of life, it's anything to be talking about. You just need to do your research so that when you are talking, you can be informed equally. Just Google, go on Google. Mrs. Google knows everything. Mrs. Google knows everything. Just say how many people are dying per year in South Africa, and they will give you by crime, by color, and etc. You have a picture and say how many of those are white farmers. You find that in 1 year, less than 50 farmers are dying. And out of those 25,000 numbers, almost 16,000 are men. Then the others are children and women. So the real crime against humanity in South Africa is not crime against white people. It's crime against white males. So we need to find who is killing white males and why are they dying, and etc. So that's enough for the kill the Boer, kill the farmer. Van Hasten and etc. He can go home and sleep and suck his thumb. I think he had too much to drink. You know, when you are brought up in a colonial system, you don't even respect the pain of the people that you have been colonizing and abusing for all this time. And I think it's high time Van Hasten and DA, Democratic Alliance, start waking up and smell the coffee. It's no longer the olden days. We are now in the new days, and it's not going to be politics as usual. And I loved what I saw there. beautiful chants, but his speech, beautiful speech that he gave out there. I felt he was no longer talking to South Africans, he was talking to the whole African continent, that we must stand up, we must be counted, and we must become part of our own narrative. And I see young people being enthused to join political parties. Not just join politics for the sake of opposition. No, join politics with a clear agenda as to what is it that we want to transform and how are we going to transform these things that we want to transform. I wish we could have a more educated, informed, progressive, young people that could engage in debates more meaningfully. Unlike Zimbabwe, we are trying to detoxicate it. It's a toxic political environment because either you're ZANU or you're CCC, you're this or this. But what if I'm not this, I'm this, but I would rather work with this because that's where development is happening than just spending my time working with this where nothing is happening. And you can see, of course, I have my yellow, I have my blue, and I have my red. So it's deliberate, of course, it's deliberate and very, very intentional, so that even our young people can understand that national politics is above party politics, because we need to develop our nations much more than we are obsessed with developing our party politics. That was on South Africa for the last week. I thought that was quite a beautiful, beautiful thing. Ramaphosa has lost it. Ramaphosa has lost, and ANC, unfortunately, they put a leader in the system, and they don't monitor him to say, how can we work together? And in the midst of that, we have found that our leaders on the ANC circle, they lose votes on allowing the ambiguity of a leader to determine the politics of the whole party, and it filters into the whole country. I don't think many people in ANC support what Ramaphosa is doing. I don't think many people in ANC in South Africa support what Ramaphosa is doing. But because he is president, people are allowing him to make decisions on behalf of them. And yet those decisions are not in sync with where they want to go. Anyone would be stupid in Africa right now to be having a pro-American agenda, because America is losing. America is losing. It's like supporting a soccer team that is now sitting on 6-0, and you are now on the 84th minute. And you think that in 84, in 2 minutes, or before 90 minutes, in 5 minutes, they can be able to create the 5, 6, 7 goals to win the game. Well, maybe they can. Maybe if they have some supernatural energy to transform, they can. But America, the way we are looking at world politics right now, America is losing. America is 235 million people. The globe is 7 billion people. Of the 7 billion people, 1.3, 1.5 in India, 1.6, 1.7 in China, 1.8, 1.9 in Africa, and almost like 3/4 of the world right now is fed up. It's fed up with America. And America has been losing. There wars in Guatemala, there wars in Vietnam, there wars in Afghanistan, there wars in Africa of regime changes, there wars in Syria, there are murders of Gaddafi, Afghanistan, and around the world they have waged more than 21, 22 wars that they cannot account for. And when Africans are waking up now to begin to talk about their own narratives, and if you are stupid, and if you are slow in thinking, you can think that anything good will come out of America. But as things are looking right now, I think America is losing the battle. And any country that wants to align itself with America, particularly on the African, Middle East, and the Asian bloc, and North Europe, you'll be jumping on a wrong train altogether. It is no longer fashionable. It's no longer economically viable. It's no longer politically woke for anyone to be found supporting America. America and UK are done. Their regime closed with the death of Prince Charles. You can look at that history and look at it going backwards. or the death of Queen Elizabeth. Prince Charles is still alive. The death of Queen Elizabeth. You can look at the death of Queen Elizabeth going back that way. That's where the America and Europe were popular. After the death of Queen Elizabeth, coming this way, it introduces us to a totally new era, the era of knowledge, the era of reconnaissance, and there's no way Europe and America can walk around the world telling us about human rights, which they've not respected all their lives. So maybe they must just shut up, sit down, and do a reconnaissance of the mischief they have caused for the past 100 years in their superpower space. Because now Africa is waking up, Asia is waking up, Middle East is waking up, North Europe is waking up, and it is no longer business as usual. If you have American dollars, start thinking what to do with those American dollars. Because as we are moving over in the next few days, those American dollars will be worth nothing. You know, we used to speak about these things. When you see them happen, you marvel. Back to our politics, Burkina Faso, Togo, Central Africa. We're looking into all the Francophone countries. That includes Congo, Burundi, and Rwanda. Rwanda in particular started moving away from the French economy and etc. And if you can go on your YouTube, on your TikTok, on your Facebook, you'll find lots of information talking about these new African revolutionaries. The West want to call them, these are militias, these are coup d'etats, these are what. Yeah, they are coup d'etats because leaders that you don't have control over are coming into power. Yeah, get that part right. You know, all along you've been manipulating the system. You've been manipulating the system. You give money this side, give money this side, and manage it, and boom, boom, there's a president, and the president is your puppet. And you make him sign some treaties. He guarantees you, no, you still have your business running. And you know what makes the European and the Western world angry is when you have a president in power whom they cannot control. Now let me talk about Zimbabwe, and then I'll move to the Francophone. You see, Mugabe was fine. Mugabe was beautiful because he signed and he agreed. Educated, they gave him more than 42 degrees, professor, doctor. He was in good books because he agreed and set up straight and says, I will not touch land, I will play by the books, and I will obey all the laws that you want to do, because he thought that the white people were honest people, that when they tell you something, they will honor their word. And 25 years later into power, Mugabe then wakes up one morning to discover, hey, Mfet, this thing is not what you think it is. These guys are not going to change their minds. It's a bunch of liars. It's a bunch of liars. They make you sign one thing this side, they're doing the other thing on the other side. They make you do one thing this side, they're planning the other thing on the other side. So they thought that maybe in 2-3 terms, Mugabe will be out of power. Boom! 3 terms, 4 terms, the man is still in power. And the agenda is still on the table. So Mugabe ended up walking out of the political stage as a tyrant, as a bad man, and etc. But in actualism, Mugabe was not a bad man. He had kept the European word and sacrificed his own people on the left. Understand that. When the white people told him that they will honor their word, he believed them. And in believing in the white people, he sacrificed his own people on the right hand. So land reform did not happen, industrialization did not happen, economic transformation did not happen. Things continue to happen the way in the colonial system. And 25 years later, Tony Blair was nowhere to be found. He says, I'm going to be paying money from Britain to pay. Mugabe says, you keep your London, I'm keeping my Africa, my Zimbabwe. The rest is history. By the time his era was done, propaganda starts going out. Mugabe is a bad man, and etc. And yes, I'm an open man, I'm a frank man. In the midst of his managing the promises of the Europeans and the anger of the black people at the ground, Yes, lots of political play, security play went into the forms because the community was getting constantly agitated. And Mugabe, because he had a promise on the other hand, and he had this political upheaval within his own circles that he need to manage. So yes, I fully agree. I'm not refusing. Maybe political muscle or security issues or coercion and force trying to manage this space. Guys, wait. They are going to come up. These guys will they'll own their word. And there's an uprising down here. You try to press this one down. You press this one down. What all these guys are talking about, media freedom, comes from that space. That Mugabe is trying to hold on to the promises of the white man. Whereas at the bottom of the food chain, people are getting restless. So yes, he used security, used the army and to manage that space. But I don't think it was by intention. It was on the basis that own your word. When you own your word, we can make it good with our people. And while that thing, so he was put as a caretaker, the caretaker manager, to manage the people down there while we are going to be meeting up the obligation. 25 years later, they did not meet their obligation. They did not meet their obligation. And the whole Lancaster agreement collapsed into nothingness. And then what happened. Here we are in Zimbabwe, we're in sanctions. Here we are in Zimbabwe, our economy is down, exchange rates is down, and etc. So people begin to say, no, we don't want what happened to Zimbabwe to happen to us also, particularly South Africans. Now listen very carefully. Listen very carefully. South Africans, the day you take the stand that Mugabe took on the issue of land, what happened to Zimbabwe will happen to you. Because the whole idea of putting Zimbabwe on sanctions and torturing them was to send a message to the rest of Africa that if you dare the white man, dare the Portuguese man, dare the American man, dare the French man, if you dare the white man, we will cripple you, we will close the banks, we will close the insurance companies, we will put you on sanctions, your money will be worth nothing, companies will close, your people will revolt and will remove you from power. So learn from Zimbabwe. Don't dare you do what Zimbabwe has done. So all the African countries begin to quiver in their own corners. We don't want to be caught up in the same problem that Zimbabwe was caught up in. And you forget that you are just mice that are put in a cage to be managed. You must be told when to drink, when to eat, when to what. And so Zimbabwe becomes a very beautiful case in study as we begin to see the new revolutionary militants that are coming up in the Francophone space. And I'm not forgetting Biafra, of course. Biafra remains dear to my heart. And I want all the people from Nigeria that are there, I would want to come to Nigeria and address you as a nation. So please put it on record, talk to your friends there, Mr. Marcus Nana and Omeje, Ndeu. Let's make it good for Biafra. Because the freedom of Biafra is the freedom also of the whole of Africa. So mineral resources, tourism, farms, land become critical. And people thought that Mugabe was a tyrant. He was a tyrant to the white man. And he was a tyrant to the black man only as he tried to maintain the promise of the white man. You need to process that. He was a tyrant to the white man. But he became a tyrant to the black people, trying to make good the promises that he was given by the white people. And when the white people did not own their word, he found himself divorced by the European world, and he had not kept his promise with the black people, and land was the equalizer. And after land, hell broke loose. Here we are as a country. When you look at the new politicians that are coming up into the space, Burkina Faso, and Mali, and Guinea-Bissau, and Guinea-Conakry, and Chad, and Rwanda, and all the Francophone countries which have been keeping the French government and the French economy running for the rest of the time immemorial and history. Now the balls are changing. New political leaders are coming into space who don't know who Macron is, who don't know where France is, who don't know where Paris is. And they are coming up with new political conversations. Africa comes first. If you look into what they are saying right there, you'll find it very interesting, because what they are submitting to the rest of the world, particularly to the French government, it is exactly what we have been saying for the longest of time, that if you want African resources, then you need to come to Africa and beneficiate those resources. If you want African, coffee, or be it gold, or be it whatever you want, make sure that you don't just grab these things and walk away, but come to the land and beneficiate those resources and make them good. So France and Benin, yes, thank you very much. Benin, Niger, and Burkina Faso, and thank you very much, Armando. And Benin and Niger in particular stands up with a new leader there who says no more colonialism. And France gets excited. Macron, I think, is still wet behind the ears. And he blurts out some unprecedented, no, dare you, after the coup in Niger, or Niger, whatever you want to call it. If you don't restore our old president, the one that we have an agreement with, if you don't put him back into power, we are going to put you on sanctions. We are going to protect our interests. That's what France is saying. They want to protect their interests. What are their interests in Niger? What are their interests that they must protect? So you need to put back the president, or else we're going to come for war. And the military general, maybe sometimes I just love the war generals, says, dare you speak war. And 2, 3, 4 other countries on the sides of Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, and etc. If you touch Niger, you are declaring war, and all of us are coming out for war. And while you are on that you want to protect your interests, now we understand what war is all about. War is about resources. War has nothing to do with human rights. War is resources. War is resources. Then our honorable president in Niger wakes up in the morning and boom, chops off the gold exports to France. Boom, chops off the uranium exports to Niger. Niger remains one of the biggest producers of uranium. Cuts it off. And France is now in a messed up state, because they'd also cut off their gas with Russia to support America. And now, because they were hoping that they will use the uranium from Niger for their power stations to run France, now they are cut off in Russia. They are now cut off in Africa, in Niger. So you find that uranium has now become the new password for war. The Western world, they want the uranium for power generation, etc. And he says, if you want uranium, you're going to come to Niger, build the plant in Niger, and get your power from Niger to power yourselves in France, so that if you misbehave, we will switch off. I just love this test. What Putin did when Europe was misbehaving, he just went to the tap of gas and just turned. He didn't switch it off totally. He just turned down a little bit, and the whole Europe was, people are freezing in the cold. And this guy says, if you want our uranium, you come to Niger, you put your plant right here, you build it here, and then you put your cables to go to France. And when we don't like what you're doing, we will switch off power. Let's see what will happen to your industries, will happen to your households, and etc. So France is caught between the hard rock and the deep sea. They don't know whether to now bow down to the new general, or to organize a coup d'etat and organize some insurgencies and mercenaries. And remember, Burkina Faso is the same country that Lumumba was butchered by the Americans and the French. They killed him. And now another Lumumba, not just a Lumumba to the fourth power, to the fifth power, is now in power. And he's doing exactly what Lumumba would have done himself. And it's just amazing to see the transformation in our political space. So yes, Zimbabwe presents you with a template. When people, Patrice Lumumba, and this is Sankara. Oh, I'm mixed up. I'm just too happy today. So yes, Sankara. So you find that when Zimbabwe puts a template, and the template says to all African countries, if you undermine the European regime, if you undermine, yes, thank you very much, Sena. It's Sankara, thank you. I was just getting excited in my head. If you undermine the European power over your system, and you dare you take your land, then they will use this influential thing. And by the way, Burkina Faso and Niger, they have nothing to lose on the stopping of uranium exports. There is nothing to lose because they never benefited from the uranium. It was just being dug and sent out. So just stop it. It's not we who are going to get cold. It's not we who are going to be freezing in the cold. Africa is warm. Africa is hot. We will find other people that are interested in helping and working with us for our own development. So there we have it. In Burkina Faso and Niger and Chad and Mali and Guinea and Conakry and other countries, all the Francophones are waking up to smell the coffee. If you want us to send you coffee, Thomas Sankara, if you want us to send you our coffee, you're going to come here and you're going to put the coffee plant on the ground. Then you take it as a final product to the countries where you are. There you are. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Frank. Frank Lumumba is DRC and Thomas Sankara is Burkina Faso. Thank you. Point noted. So if you want any resource from our country, you come here and you put your plant here. We will send you the final product. See what it does to the value chain. So in Zimbabwe, we've started off the lithium embargo. No more export of lithium. Chrome must be beneficiated here. Lithium here. I'm just waiting for platinum also. Close the thing. Gold. We're going to close up even in a few months maybe. We're going to even close this export of gold out of this country. Because now we're creating a gold coin, as crypto kind of coin. So we don't even need to dig it. It is there. It is there. And the fact that it's there is guarantee that it's there. You can create a piece of paper that you can take to the bank and you can trade on paper while our resources are remaining where they are. So people are getting intelligent. They are not as stupid. These things we've been talking about for the longest of time, or the transformation of the African space in my lifetime. I will not die before I see Africa coming together, waking up and facing up a white man. Listen to Ruto speaking to Mara-Rah. No, Chief. What you are saying and what you are doing are not the same thing. Listen. Mara-Rah says, no, we're talking trade. Ruto says, whoa. We are not saying the same thing. We are talking here. Behavior is different. Listen to Museveni talking. Listen to Mnangagwa talking. Listen to Malema talking. Listen to Masisi talking in Botswana, telling the Afrikaner government, Oppenheimers, you are not going to be giving us 2, 3, 4% of our diamonds per year. We are not going to be renewing your license. Either you change the way you are doing things, or we will not renew the license. So we begin to see, yes, we still have a few African leaders who are still trying to pussyfoot around these Europeans as if they are scared of them when they see a white man in a suit. Oh, yes, boss, or boss kind of thing. Hey, but the times are changing. The times are changing. A new ball game coming on board. That's why maybe I don't support Chamisa. That's why I don't support the opposition in Zimbabwe. One, it is not legitimate. It is not truthful. If Chamisa was serious, he should go and sit down with Malema and then learn the politics of how to run an opposition party and learn the issues that must be involved. Don't just waffle and say lots of blowing some hot wind into the air. The essence of the revolution is economic power. And if he goes to Malema, why is it that Malema, being an opposition party in South Africa, his policies are more aligned with the revolution that is happening in Zimbabwe in terms of economic advancement than Chamisa is? CCC in Zimbabwe is more colonial than EFF in South Africa. Now, how do I sit here and I listen to Chamisa? Oh, let me put yellow in the center. How do I sit here and I listen to a coward who wants to restore European and British legacy in Zimbabwe instead of working with EFF that are talking about economic revolution in our own generation? So if Chamisa was smart enough, spend 5, 6, 7 nights in South Africa, stay with Malema and learn how to write a manifesto that is a revolutionary. We're tired of this little waffling and making false promises and talking. And by the way, Chamisa, you must also learn how to respect adults. You don't address your father as you and Iwe. No, we don't do that in Shona. In Shona, we don't do that. It's not me. Even if he's your enemy, if he's older than you and he's your father, address the person with respect. Ndopa munovhiringika vafana kamaenda kuchikoro mandodzidza zvima prima facie law, maverenga zvima notsi criminal justice system, what mod graduate and ostalos mofunga kuti ndimadzidza kudarika tose. You think that you are more educated than everybody else. Come on, even in the midst of your education, come on, still show some respect to an adult, to an old person. And we will also respect you. Because when you are old, you want to be respected in the same way. So the politics of Africa is changing. If you are going to be starting a political party and you are still going to bed with America or with Europe, you are messing it up. The real politics right now, China and Russia are a transition. But they are a transition with an informed audience that now wants to begin to speak its own narrative. What is that narrative all about? It's Africa owning its resources, Africa owning its own time and destiny, Africa breaking the chains of colonialism. There is no need for any African country to be paying taxes to Europe, to America, to France, to Britain. No. The sympathy of the Chinese and the Russians is at least in the midst of the colonialism. We can now get some bridges, get some hospitals, and get this and this. Resources that we could not normally have. And in the midst of sanctions, we could not access those things. But by no ways are these lands and pieces of transactions being done at a sale point of view. These are leases. Some of them 20 years, some of them 35 years, some of them 99 years. But we are not selling the land. Not again. Land is not for sale. Chamisa must go home. He is irrelevant. He is irrelevant. If he had listened to me some 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when I tried to talk to him, he would not be in this mess. But he thinks he knows too much. He thinks he's more informed. He thinks he's well alert. And unfortunately, he will miss the plane. The leadership that we need, I don't even care who goes into power. Whether it is the army general, or it is the police commissioner, or it is whoever, I don't care. What I care about when you get into power, what are you going to be doing about our people? What are you doing about our resources? What are you doing about transforming our culture? What are you doing about transforming our media space? What are you doing about preserving our own ethics and moral values? Those are the things that are important to me. So the new African politician needs to put his ear on the ground and put his finger on the pulse and understand that the people that you are now leading as African people, they are no longer just small people in the country who can say, viva, viva this. Yeah, we can see right through you. The other day, BT was on the line here. BT himself. Hey, we are spooks. Doma. Don't touch me. I have people behind me who will support me. Maybe it's high time we understand exactly who is behind you and bring those people to the front. Because those are the people who want to engage and do politics with. Not doing politics in a shidoma, ghosts that pretend to be here, yet they are representing other people that are in the background. We want to deal with those people that are in the background. Put them to the fore. I would rather deal with a white man than deal with a black man who has been sent by a white man. So the whole of North Africa, Central Africa is on flames. And let all other African countries begin to understand it's no longer politics as usual. It's no longer politics as usual. You people who are going to be voting new leaders, don't just vote leaders because they speak well and they are good in English. Look for leaders who are clear on the agenda of the restoration of Africa, the unification of Africa, the one currency for Africa, the borderless Africa, one military base for Africa. Start talking business of the unification of Africa. We are not wasting time on these social spaces telling you these things. These things that we are telling you will come to pass. Will come to pass, whether you like it or not. For it is an era and an age of transformation. And those who resist this transformation will become part of the history of the manure at the back of the house. So start thinking, start progressing. So no more uranium. And Cameroon president, and I think he must rest. He must rest. If he's tired, he must rest and give, or else, if he, not just he must rest, he must listen. Send him the video. Maybe before he rests, he can change. We don't have time I don't care who is the leader. We care what is the agenda. Doesn't matter who is the leader. Is the agenda. Whether it is Hakainde, or it is Mnangagwa, or it is Gaincop, or it is whoever. The issue is not changing hyenas with foxes. It's putting a leader there who just changes the agenda. Changes the agenda. So if the Cameroonian president can get this video and say, hey, Cameroonian president, stop your pussyfooting around the French people. Align yourself with Burkina Faso. Align yourself with Mali. Align yourself with Niger and start talking one Francophone politics. This could transform the entire of the Francophone countries. So if that's what we're looking for. So it's not just change politics, change leaders, and then we run on the streets for 5 days. The leader goes there, it's still the same agenda. Even whoever is there, share the video with them. We need them to change their minds. And even my honorable friend and brother, Honorable Hakainde, I also challenge you, listen to this video. Listen very well. We need you, honorable, to start changing your politics. We understand your economics. We understand the background where you're coming from. And I truly respect you as a brother, well known to me. But in the midst of that, I don't think that all the Zambians are happy with some of the pro-West policies that you are promoting. So align yourself, because you're going to leave Zambia behind when other countries are running forward. Same message that I'll say to Masisi in Botswana, an honorable brother to me that I respect greatly. Beautiful policies that you have, but please watch out for this American base that is in your country, which is challenging our sister country in South Africa, challenging Zimbabwe and Namibia and Zambia, because you can actually kill the whole of the SADC region from your own country, Honorable Masisi. So you cannot be drinking coffee with America and America will be killing your brothers and you can still go home to sleep after that. So this is the kind of conversation we want, whether it is Mozambican president, South Africa, and Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa, you are missing it. You are missing it. You're one of the richest men in Africa. I've never seen a man who can forget that he has 40. I got it from a good source that it was actually not 4 million US dollars. It was 40 million US dollars. 40 million US dollars. You forget that kind of money on your sofa? On your sofa? You forget that kind of money on your sofa. You forget 40 million US dollars on your sofa. Whereas the road that goes to your mother's place in Venda is not tarred. The clinic that your mother is collecting high blood pressure tablets from, that clinic has no medicine. The school that you went to study has no desks and there's no electricity. And you sit there and you forget 40 million US dollars on your sofa, on your couch. Stop lying, Ramaphosa. I think you need help. You need help. And even if I see you, I'll tell you on your face. You need help, like serious help. Because I don't think you're doing black people a favor. You're sacrificing 52 million people of that beautiful country for your own interests. Of course, I have nothing much about Malawi. Malawi, join the battle. Join the battle. I don't know how you can join the battle. Food security comes to my heart right now. You still have one of the best weathers in the whole of Africa. See how you can contribute meaningfully to the food security space and have your place. Kenya, dear to me. I love Ruto, what he's doing there. Tanzania, a bit of a slump, but we're waiting for the honorable lady there to pull up her socks and join the battle. But we begin to see this is not official. And in the midst of all these things that are happening, Africa Union is silent. Silent. What is his name? This guy, is it Karfe or Kofi? What's his name? Fake is quiet. Hey, Africa Union will come there and help the French to put back the old president. Hey, Fake, you will die before your time. Go home. You have done your public relations and diplomatic things across the world. It's expired. You are irrelevant as a body. You are irrelevant as a politician. You are irrelevant as an African. You are just a puppet European Francophone. There is no leadership whatsoever we expect from the African Union as far as these issues are concerned. We as the young people at the bottom, we are going to champion our own change. I will have no political office, but we will influence our people to begin to think differently. And the way they look at you, the way they look at their presidents, the way they look at their economics, the way they look at the outlook of life will never be the same. You will never know what hit you. You can remove us from the picture, but the seeds that we have planted of the liberation of the African people will not be accomplished by killing one person. If you don't study well, Farke, see what happened in Libya at the death of Muammar Gaddafi. You thought you had removed him from the picture. Now you have 250 Muammar Gaddafis that are popping up from everywhere, from underneath your seat. Much more violent and radical than Muammar Gaddafi was. Were you ready for that? Were you ready for that? There's nothing that can stop on the path whose revolution has come. So yes, we are going for votes in 2023 here in Zimbabwe. We are not going to vote for anyone else. We're going to be voting for ZANU-PF here in Zimbabwe. ZANU-PF, we're voting them back in. Why? Because all other opposition parties have no agenda, have no mission that is clear as to how do we protect our own resources. And Kasukuwere, I saw him the other day making a very funny comment. Hey, suspend the constitution. Hey, suspend the ZEC. Just put me and Mnangagwa in the ring and we fight each other. Just me and you, Tai and ED, and Emerson, and we fight each other. Then I sit around and say, you want to fight Emerson in the ring, in the suspension of the laws and rules. Then what are you doing in the rules? You want to play a game with no rules. So this is the quality of a president that wants to run Zimbabwe. Who will suspend the constitution? Who will suspend ZEC? Who will suspend all the instruments of order so that he fights the president, and when he wins, then he will go back to the dustbin where he threw the rules to come and implement them. With all due respect, Honorable Kasukuwere, I know you personally, but I don't think that you are presidential material. You don't say that as a president. You cannot tell people to suspend the system which you were involved in setting up. You used to be in the government. You used to be in the government yourself. You know the rules of the game. And you come around now and you want us to suspend the very same laws that you left in power to run away into South Africa, so that we can create an environment just for you to be proved as a president. I think I gave you audience and I sat with you in Sandton. We had a meeting, we spoke, and I thought that you had sense between your ears. It's unfortunate. You can't process what you are saying. And whoever promised you that you can become a good president, I think they lied to you. You don't suspend the law to implement an agenda and then pick up the law again to implement and reinstate yourself as president. You are only showing us as people that you neither understand the constitution or understand the political terrain or understand the election rules. I don't even think you even understand the office that you are running for. You can't tell us to suspend the constitution and suspend the SEC and suspend everything simply because you want to fight Mnangagwa over whatever issues that you and Mnangagwa had. You were in the same parliament. You used to work together. So don't involve us in your wars. You want to fight him? Take it outside the room. Make it personal. Go and fight each other out there. We're here to be running politics of the nation and drive the agenda for the Zimbabwean people. You were in power. You build yourself 52-bedroomed house. 52-bedroomed house. You build for yourself. With what? Taxpayers' money. How did you get it? Because Honorable Mugabe was your confidant. Grace Mugabe was in your basket. You had access to money. You are living in a penthouse in Senten. Who is paying the bills? The money that you took from Zimbabwe, from the taxpayers, you are eating it with those chihuahuas and your friends. Now you want to come back and tell us that after you're eating our money in Senten, you want to come back here and become a president. And for you to become a president, you must suspend the law, suspend the constitution, suspend electoral rules, and etc., so that you can get into power. I think maybe you may need to get some advice from technical legal people and withdraw those statements, because I don't think I'm prepared to work with a president who thinks like that. That is neither normal or organized or anything else. If you believe in law, then work by the law. If you don't believe in the law, then work without the law. And if you work without the law, then maybe that's why you must not be allowed to contest. But since the law has allowed you to contest, then confine yourself to the law, which you know very well. Don't get mixed up. You say one thing, you say another thing. I'm not a popularist, and neither should you try to be a popularist. Be honest and be truthful. Politics of Africa is changing, and we are happy. We're happy to be watching this beautiful space changing. Kudos to all. Bonjour, comment ça va, comment j'entendez-vous, whatever that means. I don't know what it means. My French ends there. But big ups to Niger, big ups to Chad, big ups to Burkina Faso, big ups to Guinea, big ups to all the French countries, Burundi, Rwanda, big ups. And we hope that you can turn our guns and free up Congo. And when once Congo is free and the French is off our backs, and these Roman Dutch and the Belgians are off our backs, Africa will be able to be restored to the glory that it deserves. And we in the English colonies, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Malawi, South Africa, and Botswana, we need to start talking also and say, how do we, because the colonial regimes cannot be telling us about democracy, which they are breaking in their own countries. We need to start talking about how best do we come together, call for justice. Yes, not forgetting Mali, not forgetting Senegal. I came to Senegal there, Usumbeju. I even got my Kora. I got a Kora from Senegal. Beautiful, beautiful country. And it's time up. Nigeria too. It's time that we restore Biafra. Can't be changing hyenas with foxes. People who want to maintain the relationship. Pipes of oil are running through Nigeria to the Shell and British petroleum gas, and people on the sides of those pipes are starving with hunger. The politicians who want to come up and tell us section what, which section is hunger? Truth must be told. Take those pipes from British petroleum, put them into the refinery that Dangote has built, then sell the final product to the rest of the world. You'd rather have Dangote as a trillionaire and he's African, and we begin to sell fully refined oil out of Nigeria rather than sending it as it is. Nigerian government, work with Dangote. Dangote is one of you. Send that oil through his refinery. He cleans it up. Have agreements and percentages. How much does he give the government? How much does he take himself? How much does he put into the community? I leave that to your genius. But you cannot be pulling oil out of the Delta State into Britain and hope that your people will be rich ever. Here we are, 40, 60, 90 years later, and this pipe is running here, and we wonder why there's so much war until we begin to think constructively. We constantly run in circles. So yeah, that's what I had for you today. The Francophone countries have finally woken up to smell the coffee, and literally the coffee. Because part of the war right now in France, it is coffee war. Where do we take our coffee? Who processes it? Where do we take our gold? Who processes it? Where do we take our uranium? Who processes it? And if you want our uranium, you want our coffee, and you want our oil, you're going to come here and build the factory here. So for Zimbabwe, if China wants our lithium, you need to put the lithium plant here and make the lithium batteries here. Then we export lithium batteries instead of exporting raw materials. Because when we export the batteries, we're creating jobs and improving our GDP, our imports and export, and our currency will start going. We will witness, before I die, we will witness Africa with one currency, one stock exchange, one army, one flag, one national anthem, and we'll hold hands together as brothers and sisters on the continent as we give our grandchildren a new gift of a new dispensation, an Africa united, with a chair on the Security Council, with its own nuclear power station, with its own currency, the Mansa Musa coin, with no passport around the continent, and a synchronized academic qualification, one common language for the people to speak, our own TV stations, our own satellite dishes in the air, and African will begin to speak here on narratives that no other man can talk about. I look forward to that. I look forward to that, and I'm living to witness that. With those few words, brothers and sisters, I thank you. Namaste. May the gods of the land shine upon our faces, giving us peace of mind. May you always be admirable and lovable. Let your children always have food. Let the rains fall gently on your crops and give you good harvests. Let the neighbors find you also to be a good neighbor. And may the winds blow gently on our faces in the night. And let not our seas consume our wives and children by day or by night. Let the peace of the omnipotent, he who created us all, Ganyama himself, Zame, may constantly rest and abide with us, causing his countenance to shine upon our faces, we people of the skin, whose skin has been kissed by the sun. Until we see you again, stay away from trouble. Don't do what I wouldn't do, but if you do it,